Good morning. I'm Dwight Keene. I'm Chair of the Kansas Corporation Commission. I'm joined this morning by fellow Commissioners Susan Duffy and Commissioner Andrew French. At this time, I will call to order this meeting of the Kansas Corporation Commission on this Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. Commissioners, the first matters up for our consideration this morning are 36 items on the consent agenda. For the record, I would note at this time that I will be recusing on item number 4, number 5, and number 6. We have received drafts of each one of these orders. I've had a chance to review the contents of those drafts. So I would turn to each of you and ask if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and I'll begin with Commissioner Duffy.
Good morning, everyone. I have no questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner French.
Good morning. I have no questions. I move approval of the consent agenda, noting Chair Keene's recusal on items 4, 5, and 6.
I second the motion as stated.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda with the stipulation noted by Commissioner French. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. We next turn to our noticed items. We have a fairly substantial noticed agenda this morning, 6 items, the first of which is docket number 23-EKCE-135-TAR. This is in the matter of Evergy Kansas Central Inc. and Evergy Kansas South Inc. seeking approval from the Commission for the Energy Efficiency Rider. Before us is an order adopting staff's report and recommendation and approving the Energy Efficiency Rider. Our presenter is Carly Massentine, Litigation Counsel. Good morning, Carly.
Good morning. Thank you. In its application, Evergy requested approval of an updated Energy Efficiency Rider, or EER, designed to recover costs associated with Commission-approved energy efficiency programs, which are deferred over a 12-month period ending in June of each year, plus any true-up amount from any prior periods. In its application, Evergy requested to recover $4,088,673 of combined unrecovered expenses and costs and over-recovered costs from the prior period. Staff performed an audit of Evergy Kansas Central's EER application and found that its expenditures were reasonable and related to the scope and purpose of the programs. As such, staff recommended the Commission approve Evergy's application, which would correlate to a monthly charge for the Energy Efficiency Rider of approximately 19 cents. Compared to last year's monthly Energy Efficiency Rider, the average residential customer will experience a decrease of approximately 1 cent per month or 12 cents annually. And with that, I am available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you for that overview, Carly. Let's see if there are any questions. I'll turn first to Commissioner Duffy.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Commissioner French.
No questions. I move approval of the order in this docket.
I second the motion.
Moved and seconded, we approve the order in this docket. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. The order is approved. The next matters up is the consolidation of 2 dockets for our consideration. The first of which is docket number 23-ATMG-387-PGA. This is in the matter of the application of Atmos Energy Corporation for approval of a change to its purchase gas adjustment tariff. The other docket consolidated with it is 23-ATMG-394-ACA. This is in the matter of the application of Atmos Energy Corporation for approval to defer recovery of a portion of its under-recovered purchase gas costs under its annual cost adjustment clause in the utilities purchase gas adjustment tariff. Before us this morning is an order adopting the staff's R&R. Once again, our presenter is Carly Massentine. Carly, please.
Thank you. So on September 30th, 2022, Atmos filed its application in the 23-387 docket, in which it sought permission to revise its purchased gas adjustment, or PGA tariff, to allow the monthly required filing to be made on or before the 25th of the month rather than the 15th day of the month, which had been Atmos's practice. On October 11th, 2022, Atmos filed an additional application in docket number or the 23-394 docket, in which it requested permission to defer the recovery of half of its under-recovered purchase gas costs incurred during last year's 2021 to 2022 period under its annual cost adjustment provision of its PGA tariff. Atmos is not requesting carrying charges to accompany this deferral. And as was indicated, due to the interconnected nature of these dockets, staff chose to address both in a single R&R. In that R&R, staff recommended approval of both of Atmos's applications. With regard to the 23-387 docket, staff noted that the volatility of the natural gas market can cause a dramatic change in natural gas prices in just a 10-day period. So staff believes that 10-day separation between when Atmos files its PGA versus when other large natural gas utilities in the state file their PGAs is actually the primary contributing factor to the materiality of Atmos's ACA balance during the 2021 to 2022 season. And regarding the 23-394 docket, staff recommended approval of Atmos's application as it will reduce the customer impact of the large under recovery balance for the upcoming heating season. And such reduction can be accomplished with no carrying or interest charge to customers. So with that, I am available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Carly. It was an excellent overview. I would just also thank the staff for the analysis that's provided in its R&R. Let me turn to my fellow commissioners, see if there are any questions. I'll begin this time with Commissioner French.
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Duffy.
I have no questions, but I do subscribe to Chair Keen's comments concerning staff work on these two dockets. With that, I move approval of the orders, both orders as described.
Second the motion.
Moved and seconded, we approve the order in this docket, in these two dockets, the consolidation of these dockets for consideration. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. The order is approved. Thank you again for your work, Carly.
Thank you.
Next matter up is docket number 23-TRAM-251-PEN. This is in the matter of the investigation of Valley View Company LLC DBA Pete Woods Excavating of Ulysses, Kansas, regarding the violations of the motor carrier safety statutes, rules, and regulations, and the commission's authority to impose penalties, sanctions, and/or the revocation of motor carrier authority. Before us this morning is a penalty order, and our presenter is litigation counsel Hassan Latif. Good morning, Hassan.
Good morning, commissioners. The penalty order before you does arise out of a compliance review of Valley View Company LLC, DBA Pete Woods Excavating, a private motor carrier which hauls freight construction and other large objects operating out of Ulysses, Kansas. On August 16th, Erica Pargas and Penny Fryback, both special investigators of transportation staff, began their investigation of this carrier. During their compliance review, staff noted major violations being committed and recommended carrier's authority be suspended until such time as it came into compliance. And on August 30th, the commission issued a suspension order to prevent this carrier from operating. Yesterday, the carrier was found operating by the Kansas Highway Patrol, and the trooper conducting the roadside inspection contacted staff, and we worked together to have the vehicles impounded for operating in defiance of an existing suspension order. The penalty order before you is based on the investigation conducted by staff special investigators and assesses penalties for 12 of the violations found during the review, resulting in $9,300 in total penalties. I'll briefly summarize some of the major violations that we have. A $650 fine for failure to establish an alcohol and controlled substance testing program for CDL drivers, a $500 fine for failure to maintain the insurance on all motor vehicles being operated, a $3,000 fine for operating a commercial motor vehicle that had been declared out of service by the Highway Patrol at a roadside inspection, and then was subsequently used in operations again without correcting those out of service defects. Staff notes that the vehicles that were impounded yesterday still had the same violations or same issues that had previously been found at roadside inspections, so they had not corrected those yet either. A $900 fine for failing to require drivers to prepare a record of duty status, a $500 fine for permitting driver a driver without a CDL to operate a CDL required vehicle. And a $500 fine for using commercial motor vehicles that did not have proper commercial registration. There, in the order, they outlined several other violations that were found. But staff recommends approval of the order before you. Both I and staff are available to answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much, Hassan. Excellent overview. Let's see if we have any questions. I'll turn first to Commissioner Duffy.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate the overview. I would like to, it would appear to me that these fines aren't about paperwork and just administrative. These are safety fines. Is that correct? The safety of the vehicle and the requirements required for a driver. Is that correct?
Yeah, several of the violations involve direct safety violations that pose a danger to others.
A danger to others while they're operating on the highway. Is that correct?
Right, that's right.
Okay. Again, this is disturbing. They're hauling freight, motor vehicles, logs, poles, beams, lumber, machinery, large objects, oil-filled equipment. This is very concerning that we're finding substantial issues with the vehicles themselves. And so yesterday, it wasn't just an administrative thing that these items were impounded. It was due to safety issues. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
The staff determined that continued operations by this carrier is going to pose danger to the motoring public, and that's why we requested the suspension, and it was put in place for this carrier.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Duffy. Commissioner French?
I have no questions, just to say, I appreciate the very quick investigation turnaround on what appears to be pretty egregious violations based on the facts alleged. So with that, I move approval of the order as described.
I second the motion.
And moved and seconded, we approve the order in this matter. Is there any further discussion? I too would add my comments to those of my colleagues here. I want to join in commending our field staff for professionalism, diligence, obvious thoroughness in administering these, as Commissioner Duffy pointed out, these safety regulations. That's what they are. And there's certainly evidenced in this case by an obvious attention to very important details. So thanks to both of the investigators in this particular case for their outstanding work on behalf of the state. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I would call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. The order is approved. Next matter up is docket number 23-TRAM-383-PEN. This is in the matter of the investigation of Silver Sprite LLC of Olathe, Kansas, regarding the violations of the motor carrier safety statutes, rules, and regulations, and the commission's authority to impose penalties, sanctions, and/or the revocation of motor carrier authority. Before us this morning is a penalty order, and again, our presenter is Hassan Latif. Hassan, please.
Thank you. This penalty order before you is based on an investigation of Silver Sprite LLC, a private motor carrier transporting a mobile office operating out of Olathe, Kansas. The penalty order is based on an investigation by Special Investigator Matt Adams, which took place on September 7th. And during his investigation, the Special Investigator found violations, and the order assesses penalties for 6 of those violations, resulting in $2,550 in penalties. The violations include failure to establish an alcohol and controlled substance testing program, failure to be registered with the FMCSA Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse, and use of a driver without a valid CDL, among other violations. Staff believes that the order appropriately assesses penalties against this carrier and recommends approval of the order before you. And again, staff and myself are available for any questions you have.
Thanks again, Hassan, for the overview. Let's see if there are any questions. I'll turn first to Commissioner Duffy.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner French.
No questions. I move approval of the order as described.
I second the motion.
Been moved and second, we approve the order in this manner. Is there any discussion? I would simply add another commendation to Mr. Adams for his actions in this case and his diligence and professionalism as well. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I would call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. The order is approved. Thank you very much, Hassan.
Thank you.
The next matter up is docket number 23-CONS-3114-CPEN. This is in the matter of the failure of GEMJ Enterprises LLC as operator to comply with KAR 82-3-120 and KAR 82-3-133 by operating under a suspended license, and to comply with KAR 82-3-604 at the long lease located in Decatur County, Kansas. Before us this morning is a shut-in and penalty order involving GEMJ Enterprises LLC. And our presenter is Tristan Campbell, litigation counsel. Good morning, Tristan.
Good morning. Thank you. Before you is a shut-in and penalty order for GEMJ Enterprises LLC, which continued to perform oil and gas activities after its license was suspended for non-compliance with the Commission's penalty orders in dockets 22-CONS-3207-CPEN and 23-CONS-3039-CPEN. Additionally, while investigating operator's lease, Commission staff discovered an unreported discharge. This order assesses a $10,250 penalty and directs Commission staff to seal all oil and gas operations of the operator. With that, I would recommend approval of the order, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you for that good overview, Tristan. Let's see if there are any questions. I'll turn first this time to Commissioner French.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Duffy.
I do have a question. So the operator did receive notice about the spill that had occurred and had an opportunity to correct it. Is that correct? Is that true?
Staff discovered the discharge when they discovered that there was operation, and so there was no NOV because the notice of violation letter, because the discharge should have been reported.
Should have been reported, and it was not.
And it was not reported, no.
Okay, and the operator was not supposed to be operating anyway, correct?
Exactly, yes.
So it was kind of like two things going on there at the same time.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, thank you. With that, I move approval of the order as described.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. We approve the order in this docket. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I would call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. The order is approved. The final notice item before us this morning is docket number 23-CONS-3122-CPEN. This is in the matter of the failure of BPG Capital LLC as operator to comply with KAR 82-3-120 and KAR 82-3-133 by operating under a suspended and expired license. Before us this morning is a shut-in order, again directed to BPG Capital LLC. Our presenter again is Tristan Kimbrell. Tristan, please.
Thank you. Before you is a shut-in order for BPG Capital LLC, which continued to perform oil and gas activities after its license was suspended for non-compliance with the Commission's penalty orders in dockets 19-CONS-3353-CPEN, 20-CONS-3190-CPEN, and 20-CONS-3194-CPEN. Operator performed oil and gas operations on a suspended and expired license for more than 3 years. This order assesses a $100,000 penalty and directs Commission staff to seal all oil and gas operations of the operator. With that, I would recommend approval of the order, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you for the overview again, Tristan. Let's see if we have any questions. I'll begin first with Commissioner Duffy.
Yes, so this activity had been going on for 3 years after the license had been suspended, correct?
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner French.
No questions. I move approval of the order in this docket.
I second the motion.
Been moved in a second. We approve the order in this matter. Is there any further discussion? I'll add a brief comment myself. The amount of the penalty here is substantial, $100,000. I think as Commissioner Duffy alluded to, obviously an underlying reason for that, and the concern I think that the staff had as well, is the duration of the operations under a suspended license. I think we all share a concern about that on many levels. That really is the extent of my comments. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we will call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. The order is approved. Thank you very much for your work, Tristan.
Thank you.
Commissioners, I believe that concludes all the matters that were originally intended for our consideration this morning. Unless you have anything further you'd like to consider, I would entertain a motion and we adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you all. Take care.
Bye-bye.